Here we go. Hey everyone, this is Robert Jackson, and thank you for tuning in to the Station Square podcast. Today I have a very special guest with me in the corner. As you can probably see here, we have the lovely, the beautiful and talented Barbara Goodson. How are you doing?
I'm great. Nice to be here with all of you.
Yeah. So would you like to share what it is that you list off your I guess portfolio or resume because you're applying for a job. So what you got,
Oh God.
sweetie?
Oh my gosh. Oh well, I do a lot of villain voices. I guess I'm best known at this point for my loud screaming Empress Rita voice on Power Rangers that I originated in the English version. And Mother Talzin from Clone Wars, Star Wars Clone Wars, the Night Sister, who's very mysterious. I have some action figures up there. I don't know if you can see them, but there's Mother Talzin. Here she is. That's me, the voice of Mother. And here's Rita wearing her mask. Actually, she's wearing it like a chin diaper right now, but
So cool.
that was made by a fan. It was incredible. And for those that this is Nauta from Fuli Kuli. For those that love the anime, I'm Nauta also. And that's my little action figure. I have a couple more, but I just brought those three out. Those are the major ones I'm known for. There's a couple more. A Lady in the Tramp, Darling, the mother in the remake of one of the 101 Dalmatians, part number 2, I think it was. That's about it. A couple of other things, like 200 or 300 other things.
That's so cool seeing those those Funko Pops and the figures.
Yeah. Yeah, I just found out there's another one that showed up from something I did from G-Force back in the 80s, who has a different name now. And somebody asked me to sign it. And I said, this is not my fig. I never did this. And then I looked more carefully and she was called Agatha June. And I think she's got a new name now. So they wanted me to sign it. I signed another POP that I didn't know about.
That is awesome. I guess we can just get started with this virtual Q&A. So my first question that I usually ask is, so back in the day, so let's go back to your early beginnings, growing up, raised in the Brooklyn, New York area. So how would you describe that whole lifestyle?
Yeah. Left there pretty early. I was 7 when we moved, but Brooklyn was where it all began. I'm the youngest of 3, the 3 of us, 3 sisters, 2 older sisters and me. And boy, I envied them when they went to school. I was so fascinated by what school was. And I remember sneaking a walk around the block and seeing it. And then finally going. And then when I went, I said, okay, now I want to go home and never go back. And my mother informed me that, no, you have to keep going now. And I thought, I was shocked. I thought I just went one day, I was done. I didn't need to do school because I like to play. And one of the things I like to do is play. I wanted to be a ballerina. Tina the ballerina was my first fantasy. There was this record back then. La 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 la. Tina the ballerina. And it was a story about a little girl who saved the ballet because the prima ballerina was not able to do the show. And she ran before anyone could stop her on stage and twirled and twirled and twirled. And I would listen to that like 5 times a day. And I thought I was Tina, and I made my sisters my backup. They sang the song while I twirled. But I only became 4'11", so I was never the size for a prima ballerina. Normally they're very tall and lithe and have long legs, and mine stopped about here and still do. So I had to pick another fantasy for myself later on, which was to be an actress. And that's that's the beginnings. I wanted to go to the what was it? Well, I went to Queens College. I was a theater major, and one of your guests also went there. Allison Steele. I was listening. She went to Queens, and Robert Axelrod, who played Lord Zed in Power Rangers, was there when I was there. She was there. Well, she's younger than me, but we were. It's so bizarre. We were there at the same time. He's passed on now, but God bless him. But he and I went to that school at the same time, didn't know each other, didn't meet till we were in LA doing voiceovers, and had so many parallels in our background. And I also noticed that Michael Bell is from Brooklyn too. A lot of us are from Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's like I just cannot find. Most of my guests are from the Brooklyn, New York area. So it's like, okay, so which guest that I had on who is not from New York at this point?
Is that something? I mean, are you looking at that as a requirement?
No, I mean, I just think that it's such a coincidence because, yeah, one of my guests that I had a long time ago, what was his name? Oh, Chris Diosi, I think. He's actually also was from New York. I'm not sure if he was from Brooklyn, but yeah, he was also from New York. For those who don't know, he's an animator. He's making like a Tome RPG game right now, voice actor. He's in LA right now. So, yeah, I also had him on, but that was like a while ago, back when I was a young, fledgling, young little voice actor. So yeah, back in my little humble beginnings. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just find that it's such a coincidence. I guess it's all coming together because I think for the past few months I've had Allison on, I've had Michael on, and now you. So I just
Amazing.
find it to be hilarious. It's so hilarious.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's not planned. I just find it to be what a coincidence. What a coinky
Total
dink. Small
coinky
world.
dink. Yes.
So
Maybe there's
yeah.
just something in the water there or something. I don't know. Dreamers go get themselves born in New York a lot of the time, but that's not true. There's so many people everywhere that are dreamers. Just a
Yeah,
coincidence.
that is true. So yeah. And I guess going into your acting resume, going into your credentials here, so for all the times that you've been, acting like back when you were in New York, do you have any particular fond memories of being up on in the theater, the
In the
stage,
theater. Well,
and
the
the
almost.
whole atmosphere?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Well, my dream was to do Broadway, and I never did do
Like,
Broadway. I got in the finals of Godspell when it was first out, and by doing my character voices, by they said improv a story, and I used all these different characters that I had created, and that was amazing. Unfortunately, I did not book that one, but the almosts are pretty amazing. Even so, I could have been. I remember being asked for one audition to be Tinkerbell in a rock musical, and my friend at the time said, "Yeah, they want ballet dancers, trained ballet." I said, "I'm not a trained ballerina." He said, "Well, just pretend you are." Well, I pretended my way into twirling around the stage and got the job. And unfortunately, there was another job doing puppet work, which paid, and I needed to pay my rent, so I didn't take the Tina. It was but it wasn't Tina. It was Tinkerbell, rock musical of Peter Pan. Who knows where the career would have gone after that? You always wonder, what if I took this road? What if I had veered this way? But ultimately, I did nightclubs. I wrote my own nightclub act and performed it, again, singing and doing characters. But I wasn't in love with that venue. Smoky theaters, smoky nightclubs, loud people, It's no accident that I found voiceover. It wasn't my dream. It wasn't something I planned, but it sort of planned itself for me. When I came to LA from New York, I was starting with the sitcoms and got very close to getting my own sitcom, but they wanted to see me do my stand-up, and I wasn't doing stand-up. But at the same time, I got this Fruit Loops commercial doing, "Watch, Toucan, I can make fruit up here." And I made buckets of money on this one national commercial. And I said, ooh, I can support myself, perform, and, do something I love. So unfortunately, I didn't get another national commercial for about another 15 years, but I fell into the anime, which was never called anime back then. It was another way of not waiting tables. When I was doing a show called Company, the musical Company?
Company.
It's a Sondheim musical about a guy who all his friends are married and he's not, but he's a player with, at the time women, but if it was it would have been changed today. I don't think the character is really into just women, but anyway, that's just a side note. I played the crazy bride Amy, and Amy, it was a song about a woman who wants to cancel her wedding, and the song is, "I'm not getting married today. Pardon me, is everybody here? Because if everybody's here, I want to thank you all for coming to the wedding. I'd appreciate you going even more." Anyway, it's Sondheim, so it's a patter song. The bass player in the musicians area said to me, "You're good with that. Blah, 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 blah. Did you ever think of doing voiceover?" And I said, "Yeah, of course, as a sideline to the Meryl Streep career, because that was the ultimate. It was, I want Meryl Streep's career because she's a character actor and she gets to be on camera. But that didn't happen. But I became the voiceover dialects and all of that I got to use in anime and stuff. And so he had a friend, and I rattled off this tape I wrote back in New York because I didn't have enough money to put it together to make a demo, but I did it as a live performance where I'd say, "My name is Barbara Goodson. Here is a sample of my New York accent, but I can do a little baby's voice." And then accents and stuff. Well, I did that for an agent, and he said, "I'll hire you as a voice client." That's when I got the Kellogg's Fruit Loops commercial. I also got connected to Japanese dubbing, which was just coming in the putty from Power Rangers, long time ago. Okay, it was the early 80s. I was 2 years old, but anyway, no, I was older. But anyway, so I would do these jobs where they didn't have beeps, they didn't have anything. It was primitive back then. Sometimes you didn't even have time codes. It was just say this in 3 seconds. So that's where I began. I did Akira then, Vampire Hunter D, whole bunch of ones that ended up becoming like classics back then. Robotech, which, was one of the first big ones. So I'm jumping all over the place. I'm ready to stop talking and you can ask me something.
Oh no, I'm just like sitting here listening to all of this. Because and I'm also am getting into musical theater. I've just been really
Oh,
loving just the shows. But I don't know. I mean, as a kid, because I always considered myself to be like the class clown and just like this weirdo who just really liked cartoons and like did voices and stuff. So it didn't really occur to me that uh like this is something that you could get into, or like voiceover didn't really exist in my
right.
mind as a kid. I just thought that like these characters that I'm watching on TV are just they're just there for, I guess, for our amusement as kids. I don't know, but Yeah, and then for acting, I always wanted to, because I never thought about, I didn't think that voiceover was a thing. I always wanted to be an actor for, like, because I was on stage and then I did, a bunch of silly stuff on there. Like I sang in choir, I did a bunch of other stuff. We did improv, and I'm still am taking classes on improv right now. So, yeah, there's this something inside of me that just was like, oh hey, you like to kid around. I like to goof around and kid around. Maybe I can give acting a shot. I like pretending to be different characters, so it's like, okay, sign me up. And then after elementary, it didn't really go anywhere because well, I had school and also I had no idea how to break into Hollywood.
I know.
I
It's
mean,
where are you living? Where do you live in Hollywood now, or?
I'm near Hollywood, but I'm
Yeah, well, you're in
actually like,
California.
yeah, California, like around the Orange County area. I'm
Okay, well, that's
closer to the
close
Orange
enough
County,
to.
LA, yeah. So at least been here for the last, wow, 22 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. It
Yeah,
goes fast.
I'm just looking at the date. Wow, this, like I said, this cannot be a coincidence. Oh my God. But anyways, 22 years I've been living here, and I'm 22 right now. Okay,
Whoa!
my
So you
mind
came
is
here,
just
well, I
blown.
guess
Yeah.
you came here with your family. You didn't take a bus.
Yeah, I didn't take a no, I didn't go like the actor like you see in the movies. Like I didn't take a
No.
bus or nothing like that. I was just pretty much born in the big hubbub of entertainment. So,
Uh,
yeah, I guess I knew that I was here for a reason.
well, yes, you are, and I know that I think most people will relate that find their way into some level of show business, some area of it. Like for me, my parents were funny and they danced and they to me they were like to me they were movie stars because they twirl around they were funny and they liked to laugh a lot, and we would have a breakfast march around the breakfast table as a family. There was something where it was there was some show on radio where you marched around the breakfast table, so we took orders from the radio and marched around the breakfast table. So it was in my blood with my own family as a humor was key. And my father had mood swings. So in order to get him laughing, I mimicked him. So in a way, it was a bit of a survival mechanism. So, to say that it's all, oh, I just loved show business. There was, a lot of us had some dark stuff in our lives where we wanted to come into the light. And the fantasy was that show business would be the light for us. And for sure, it is. I mean, during the Depression, people watched all those movies to see rich people and fantasy and beauty. And it's the same now. It's the same now. We watch a lot of television because we want to get that escape. We want to feel hope. And I wanted to be part of that. And I wanted to inspire people and do what I thought was the best way I could. So I was a little clown also, got into trouble being a little bit of a wild one in high school, sneaking into pictures I didn't belong in. Just, the bad kids were doing that. And I was one of the mischievous. I wouldn't say bad, just a little bit mischievous. And I think,
Like Bart Simpson.
yeah, I was kind of a female Bart Simpson. I did stuff like that. I'm not condoning it. I mean, I wouldn't. My son is, well, he's grown up now, but I wouldn't say to him, go and be a wise, but wise ass. As a mother, I was trying, don't do what I did, but I wasn't a terrible kid. I just did little things, like I stole a dog leash for my girlfriend's dog's birthday. You know, I do petty thievery. I got caught once taking a nickel off of a newsstand because I thought I found it, and I went in and said to the woman, "Look, I found a nickel outside. I'd like some candy." And she said, Get out of my store, you wicked girl. That's my newspaper money. That's how old I am, that it was a nickel, but but I just, some of it was innocent. my criminal behavior.
Don't worry. I feel like, I guess to touch upon what we were talking about earlier, where would I end up if I went down this path? Well, I don't know. Maybe you could be like a sort of strategic super criminal who just goes and breaks people's houses and whatnot, and be on
You
the
never
next
know.
FBI's most wanted.
Not too late though. It's never too late.
Yeah, that's what I
Let's
want to
go
do
out
now.
today and break into some houses.
Yeah, I
Empress
can't do
Rita,
that.
the voice of Empress Rita in Power Rangers, was found in the neighborhood stealing
But I will say,
a dog
stealing
leash.
some sort of, yeah. She stole a dog leash. That is, oh no, mm-mm. That, no, she is,
No, no,
let's
no,
shun
no.
her from society.
That's right. That's cancel culture.
And,
No more
oh
work.
my God.
That woman
I
is a
mean, tech,
thief.
yeah. I mean, technically, we are technically stealing. Like when it comes to acting, we kind of steal from the best, like existing characters or whatever, and then we just
Right.
use it to apply for our own characters. We're not downright. I mean, we sort of do mimic, and we sort of. I mean, it could be from family members, it could be from actors that you see on TV, it could be from like, I don't know, your pets, but either way, thank you for giving me like 10 grand scale for this next audition or that I booked, and I'm getting paid for that. Something that I just stole from another actor. So you're welcome.
Yeah. Doing other people's voices as a character, but it is getting very different now with political correctness, and some of it I feel frustrated about, only because I'm greedy and I want to work all the time. Not greedy, but I used to be able to audition for different people, different characters, but it's not and it's rightly so, and I agree with it. Like if it's a non-binary character, I don't read for it anymore. It used to be a personality. What the sexual orientation wasn't. You could do it if you acted it, but it's not appropriate anymore. It really isn't appropriate anymore for me to do an African American, even though it's a voice. No, give it to an African American actor. But when it's a dialect, that's a little different. I mean, I'm still getting auditions for Italian dialect. Some of them say we want an authentic Italian person doing an Italian accent. We want an authentic person from Sweden to do the Swedish accent. But some of them still say must be able to do this dialect or this accent. And so I'm still doing it. But I don't know, maybe in years to come, I would never have gotten Mother Taliesin because they said they wanted an Eastern European accent. And that's my roots, but I'm from Brooklyn, you know. So all I could do is the Brooklyn and New Jersey. That's all. Well, I lived in Hawaii once, but I still couldn't do Hawaiian. They wouldn't let me do that. It's an interesting time, actually.
Yeah, it's so much different now. So I guess this can kind of also about Hawaii. I'm just kind of jealous because I always wanted to visit Hawaii, but now I think I've heard that Steve Bloom and Mary McGlynn actually moved there recently.
They
So
moved
yeah,
there. Yeah, I was just
yeah,
visiting, not
congrats to
them, but
them.
that island. It's unbelievable. Their lifestyle is very, very enviable, and I'm so happy for them because they found each other and they're in love and they got married and they live in Hawaii. It's just, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful life they've created for themselves. And, you know,
Yeah, it
it's
feels
nice.
like
It's
that.
nice that people get to
Yeah.
do that.
It feels like it's the perfect place to live when you retire. It's like, hey, you've done all of this amazing work, and then yeah, Hawaii, that's gonna be our dream retirement getaway to migrate location. But yeah, and also going back to the musical theater real quick. So Company was something that I'm not really too entirely familiar with. I know about stuff like Wicked. Let's see, there's of course what's that other one? Avenue Q, even though
Yeah, yeah,
that's
that's
kind of like a little 18 plus, but still it's stuff like that. And there's The Lion King, Aladdin, the Disney Broadway
yeah. This
musicals.
this was about 10 years prior to that. This was during like chorus line days, and
Oh yeah.
uh, it was Sondheim.
What about Pippin?
It was, I think it was a little bit before Pippin, or maybe it was around the same time. I don't know which. I think Pippin came. I don't know which came first, Pippin or Company, but it was
Yeah.
70, early,
70s.
late
Yeah.
70s, about this guy who's all his friends were married couples. And the songs are beautiful, and some of them are funny. Uh, there's a song Elaine Stritch sings, "Here's to the ladies who lunch." A real, yeah, low down there. Uh, about a woman who gets married all the time, real.
Yeah.
It
So
was,
yeah,
it's dated now, totally dated.
right. And
Um,
we're I'm sorry, were you gonna say something? I don't mean to
no, I
cut
was
you off.
thinking about, I just watched Tick Tick Boom, the movie. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard of the musical.
Yeah, well, it's a musical. It's a movie based on the life of the guy who created that musical and all the other ones he created. Rent. He created Rent before, after, and it's a little bit of a tragedy about him. Um, Anyway, and Garfield, Andrew Garfield plays Jonathan. I forgot his last name. It's a wonderful movie. I just watched it, but it's back in that after the Sondheim. He was like the next generation of possible big writers on Broadway, and he didn't live, unfortunately. But it's a great movie. I loved it.
Should probably check it out sometime.
Yeah, but I
And right
loved West
now,
Side Story too, and a
oh
lot of people.
yeah, West Side. Yeah.
Did you see that yet?
I've seen clips. I know the soundtrack. I know the
Yeah,
songs. The songs are just incredibly memorable. That's how
that's
good the
Sondheim.
movie was.
I mean, he did that, and he did Company. He was all over the place. So
No.
Sondheim was incredible, and he just passed away. But he's a brilliant genius, and everybody was trying to make their shows as popular as his, because he was like the gold, the brass ring to try and be like.
Okay. That's really interesting. And of course, we're still getting stuff like the big one that's out right now, Hamilton with Lin-Manuel Miranda, and
Oh
just a
no,
couple
yeah.
more. Yeah, yeah,
uh,
that's like been exploding, huh?
oh, that's so incredible, to be able to have seen that on, just on TV. I didn't get to see it in the theater, but to give that as a gift to people during COVID, what a gift to see.
Yeah,
What a show, boy.
yeah.
Yeah, he is actually the one who's taken the passed the torch from Sondheim to Lin Manuel Miranda. Um, but I loved West Side Story. I loved the remake. I think they did a great job. It didn't get great reviews for some reason, but maybe that's because we're not going into the theater as often. But I thought it was very, very intelligent, the way they did it, and I loved the first one. Anyway, that's just me and musicals. My husband is not into musicals. He's into ice hockey. And so have the TV on, and I'll go, "Ugh, how
Ice
long is that game
hockey.
going to be on? How long is that going to be on?" But I'll be upstairs watching some musical thing or some old movie from black and white movie days.
I just remembered another one. Cats.
Cats.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. I don't think I could. I don't love cats. So,
Okay, so I will say, I do love who's the guy? Was it Ken Page? Yeah, Ken Page. If you know him, he was also he was Oogie Boogie on The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, he's
oh,
a very also another versatile actor in Broadway.
okay. I don't know him by name. Ken, what's his last name?
Ken
Page?
Page, yeah.
Hmm. I don't know. Do I know him?
Oh, Oogie Boogie Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh
You were
yeah.
in All Dogs Go to Heaven?
Oogie
Wow.
Boogie. Yeah, all dogs go to heaven. Oh, I
Meet
worked on that.
Misbehaving.
I did voices on that
Wow.
too. I don't remember him. Yeah, I think I did voice, but I did extra voices, nothing.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Ken Page had a sweet face. I love actors. I mean, there is something about a tribal thing with actors.
Wiz. That's another one.
Oh,
Jesus Christ Superstar, Little Shop of Horrors, Les Miserables, Wizard of Ida.
Les
Wow,
Miserables.
he's in a
Yep.
lot of the big musicals.
Phantom. Yeah.
When have you
I mean,
seen?
they all have something wonderful. I mean, Ragtime I loved because I lived in New Jersey, and it showed the boardwalk in Atlantic City, which we used to go on those, and there it was on the stage, those rolling chairs that I grew up looking at, girl as a kid. Miss America pageants and rolling chairs on the boardwalk, and here it was on stage, and I went to see that musical when it was just actors being invited by Actors Equity, and the support that the audience gave the people on stage was so loving. Um, that's the thing about why I have pride in being an actor, because even if we can be bitchy and cutthroat sometimes, there's this level of respect and honor that we feel for each other's talent, and we want to support as a group. The energy in that room that night watching that musical was phenomenal. It was just made me cry because it was actors just giving standing ovations to other actors. That's love, real, authentic, not just, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes
So
we stand up too often, but
yeah, man, I feel like we could talk about musicals all day, but I have other questions.
oh,
So
please
I
do.
guess, yeah, for the industry, I guess this perfectly can segue into where we're at right now with the industry, because with COVID, because like you said,
Mm,
before we watched during the Depression era, people watched movies, they listened to radio and
yeah.
other other like areas, avenues of escapism. So with today's climate, so how would you say that COVID has impacted the industry, or like with all of the changes that have been going around in the industry, when it comes for representation, like non-binary, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you think the changes have impacted the industry, and how much of an effect it's going to leave moving forward? How much, or where do you see it mainly moving forward as we are heading into 2022 and the years beyond that?
It's a good
As we're
question.
heading into the future of the 2020s, the screaming 20s, as I like to call it. We had the roaring 20s, and now we're in the screaming 20s. Um,
That's very good, Robert.
yes, yes.
The screaming 20s.
That's pretty much what it is.
It
I mean,
is.
I'm not wrong. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not
Oh my.
wrong. Every day there's a new horror to go. No, 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 no.
Horror movie. Yeah.
Don't tell me that. Don't. Watching the news is just so like I don't want to listen.
I think we're kind
You
of
do, you
like,
have to.
I mean, we do, but it's like, oh my gosh, all these horror movies that we've been watching as
Yeah,
children, as kids, this is reality.
yeah.
And
It's
movies
come
that kind of
true.
predicted, there's even shows that sort of predicted COVID. Like I forget this one show, but they literally predicted it like about 30 to 40 years past. And now look
Yeah.
where we are in the future. Movies, and it's just, it's kind of, it is so eerie on how well they've, it's so accurate. Like it's oh, it's depressing. I don't want to think about it, but yeah. So
It's
where do you
true.
see it moving forward in the future?
Well,
Back to my question.
I know that a lot of things are already remote. It's just going to become more and more remote when we have another endemic, because I think the pandemic will end up being a thing where, oh, there's a new Greek letter,
Variant or whatever. Yeah.
Omicron is now whatever, B2 now that they're talking about.
Yeah. Literally
So
like 100 years ago, like when we had the what was it, the Spanish? No,
Spanish,
that was
yeah.
like that was back way back. I'm talking about there was like another one that happened in the coincidentally, it was like around the 1920s, which I guess history really is repeating itself. Yep,
Yes, yes.
1918
And the
Spanish.
mask fights were then too.
I
People were
mean, it's
fighting.
different now with the technology that we have right now. I think that's kind of like the difference. What we're going through now, in general, is that the technology is evolving, and we're getting a lot of resources on getting into the industry online. There's like a ton out there that you could just because back in the old days, it's much different to how it is right now. But
Yeah,
continue.
well,
I don't mean,
I
yeah.
I did a miss going into studios. Oops, let me shut that off. Sorry about that.
I have to make
I
sure my phone is on vibrate.
Yeah, I should do that myself. I what I was going to say is, like, I had to learn real quickly how to use an Ethernet cable and get a oh, what is that? Source Connect connection so that I could work in my closet. Not just, I was doing auditions there already. Uh, that became, that's phased out. We phased out going into our agent's offices to audition about 2 years ago, and maybe longer. So I would send auditions from home to them. Um, and then it became a thing where Blizzard, which is like a big deal company, said, "Can you record from home?" And I said, "I need help figuring out what I need." So they said, "You need an Ethernet cable, you need to do Google Chrome, and we'll walk you through the usage of GarageBand or Audacity or whatever platform you need." And I didn't know anything but GarageBand. And they said, "Well, that's not high enough quality." But somehow I'm still using GarageBand because I need somebody to come over and walk me through. I need hands-on. I'm sorry, my brain does not retain a YouTube tutorial.
Don't worry. Most of my family, I think they're like, they were raised in the generation of like the 60s, 70s, 50s. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like they're pretty much around at that same camp. Whereas like, my mother just not too long ago was like, I shared some YouTube videos on like Mel Blanc, and she was like, okay, I'll watch it when I have some time. Uh, I don't know any of this YouTube stuff. She doesn't do social media or like any of this geek techno mumbo jumbo that
No, I mean,
we humans have adapted to now.
you are so, it's so second nature for you. I'm in the middle there. I did crossover. I mean, I do record in my closet, professional, high quality. It's amazing that I can. I hate doing it. I want to be in a studio. I miss connecting. But when I go into a studio, I bring my own headphones, I bring my own water, I bring my own mask, and then they fix the microphone. We're all we have masks on. They sterilize the room, and then I'm good to go. And then I leave, and they clean it up again for the next person. And I prefer that because I'd rather not double duty it. I'd rather not be my own recording engineer and just focus on my voice, because that's what I'm being hired for. But it's going to be more, and I'm going to have that be the way it is. And even on camera auditions, which I still do for on camera commercials or any film work, any smaller films, they want an EcoCast, which is your camera on your cell phone, and then you audition yourself and have your husband or somebody do the lines. You used to go in and have somebody read with you and have them tape you. Now you tape yourself and then you send it in. And I've surrendered. I do it. I hate it. But it is the new world. This is the truth. If you want to do something, and I've gotten jobs that way, just auditioning myself on a little, my phone horizontally.
Yeah. And there's even other avenues on how to make money. And yeah, there's other ways that the industry is evolving, like
Yeah.
AI and NFTs, but we don't talk about those. But we kind of want to talk about your career as a voiceover artist. So after all this musical, theater, Broadway, and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so yeah, since you've been active since the '60s, if I'm not mistaken, so how would you
Not
describe?
really.
Mhm.
I'd say 80s, 70s. I graduated school. When did I graduate? Acting school. I graduated acting school around 70 something, 71, I think. I dropped out of Queens College because I knew I wanted to get to it faster. And driving to Queens College, I didn't have a car. So it was 2 hours to get there and 2 hours back. So that was a good reason to drop out of college. My parents were not happy with that. But then I went to American Musical and Dramatic Academy, which was in Manhattan. And now it's accredited, but it wasn't then. And my father didn't want to give me the money to go, but he caved in and he did. And I paid the loan back. But after that, I started auditioning and got dinner theater jobs. And after that, I went to Hawaii. And after that, I went to LA. Oh no, back to New York, then LA. So what was the question?
No, I was like, I feel like the most successful actors are high school dropouts. I keep noticing that, but I'm
Not
not
high
calling. I'm
school.
not
I did do high school. 1 year of
okay.
college and then acting school.
College. Yeah, I feel like when people drop out, they become really successful. Like, why do we keep noticing this? But I don't know. Not my
Well,
place to comment on that.
it's, I don't regret it, but I wouldn't recommend it. There's no, I was going to be a speech and drama major at Queens, but I didn't want to be a teacher. And I never had anything to fall back on. So I had to get a modicum of success. It was either this or nothing. I didn't say, well, if I don't do this, I'll become a teacher. Not that that's wrong. I mean, I have coached once in a while, but I'm not, I wanted to do this as a profession. And so it happened because I didn't give myself anything to fall back on, really.
So, how would you describe your first foray into voiceover? And yeah, how would you describe, like, I guess some of your first jobs, and how is it like being in the industry um, when you were voiceover, I guess, baby, when you were starting out,
Late
and
30s,
looking at where you're at
late
now?
20s.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, it was always going to be the thing you do to make some extra money while you wait for your magical film or TV series, your feature film breakthrough or your TV series. That's the dream. When you go to acting school, you don't go out of there thinking, I want to go into voiceover, not if you're a theater major. And so that wasn't a career in my mind. It was, I started auditioning, as I said, for plays, and then I did nightclubs. But then my friend moved to LA and said, Barbara, it's sitcom city here. Your character ability, this is where it's going to happen for you. And I thought it was. I got very close to, impressing a lot of people with my talent as, a character actor, funny little actress, but no vehicle showed up to put me in. But I did with Nancy Cartwright before she was Bart Simpson. We went on tour with Jonathan Winters. I don't
It's
know if
all
you've heard.
coming together. Like
Yeah,
I
we
was saying
auditioned
earlier.
for
Yeah.
a show that was an improv show. Jonathan Winters was the
I love Jonathan.
Robin Williams was in
I
love
also
with,
love Robin.
he, Jonathan was like Robin before Robin was Robin, and Robin was idolized Jonathan Winters, and so did I growing up. He was the funniest man.
Both great comedians are now no longer with us. That's kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
sad. I love them, but continue.
Yeah, well, I got to work with him. He was my idol too, not just Robin Williams' idol. And Nancy and I came up together, and we met and we were on tour together doing Kenyon Festival Theater with Robin Williams, not Robin, with Jonathan Winters, Paul Newman, who is famous with older people. He was there visiting because his wife was directing Treat Williams, who was famous at one time, doing Glass Menagerie. So we were all there together. And then after that happened, Mork and Mindy, he was on the show Mork and Mindy
Oh, I love that show.
so I got to see a taping of that with Jonathan. Jonathan was an unbelievable man too. And he said to me, he gave me one of the biggest compliments anyone's ever given me. He said, "You're better than Gilda." That's what he thought.
Oh, Gilda
So
Radner?
Gilda Radner, yeah. He was very, very complimentary, and we hit it off. And then that tour got done, and I still had to make a living. So it was waiting tables, or I found this thing called the Japanese anime. And that's where it all began. So when I went to LA, I was still trying to get into films and trying to get into TV shows. At the same time, I found this other niche, which was getting these leads in these Japanese movies or TV shows, which led to other things. One thing was Fraggle Rock, the audition for Fraggle Rock. Now, they auditioned Stu Rosen, the casting director, said, "Do you know how many people auditioned for Red Fraggle? 1,250 for that one role. And you got it." And I did. And so that was like Saturday morning, big time.
When Saturday morning cartoons, that's when that was a huge, yeah.
And it was a big audition because the puppet show was a big hit. And Muppets was a big hit.
I mean, it's Jim Henson, so.
That's right. That's right. And Jim Henson, he also said, "I love Red, the character of Red and Wembley," and that was Bob Bergen and I. That's when we met. We all met. Townsend Coleman. Well, Mona and I knew each other. We were doing anime. We did the
Mona
Yearling.
Marshall.
Yeah, good friend of mine. Mona and I came up together and did similar things. We both did boy voices, and we both did the old ladies and mothers and babies and everything. So we worked a lot together. And when Saban came around, Fraggle Rock was one season. And what happened was, I think that there was a little girl fell down the well when they were doing in real life, when they were doing the ratings, and they got a low rating and they didn't pick up the series. And it was such a good series. It's a shame because Townsend Coleman was fabulous, and Rob Paulson was incredible, and Bob Bergen and Mona and me. And it was just a wonderful time. I was pregnant at the time with my son. I had to do bed rest after the season, and everything worked fine because I was doing okay, and I got a nice baby out of it. But that was after Fraggle Rock, and then I booked for Saban the Adventures of Tom Sawyer as Tom, and they had to drive me because I had just had the baby, and I did that, and that was an adorable little series. But then a lot of voiceover anime started to come my way, and that seemed to be, as a young mother, I decided I'm not going to pursue the on camera. I'm going to just take these jobs and work around it because I can spend more time balancing being a mother and a voice actress. So, and Saban started to get a lot of other, it wasn't just Power Rangers, it was Mapletown, it was before Power Rangers became the thing. But that was amazing when that happened. That kind of fell in my lap and I lost it at the same time. I don't know if you knew that story. I was given the job as Rita originally. They said, do the voice of the Wicked Witch of the West. And I did. I did it like, I'll get you, my pretty, as Rita. Make my monster grow. And then they did one of those test things where they asked the audience if they liked it. And they said, well, that voice isn't scary, because they were all used to that voice by then. So they fired me. My company that I did all these other series, Tom Sawyer and Mapletown, they fired me. So I said, wait a minute, that's how you asked me to do it. Let me try a different voice. They said, no, we're going to have auditions for it. I said, well, let me audition. I was angry. So I auditioned. I said, you want it scarier? How's this? And they hired me back. And now that's the voice. That's been the voice. So loyalties in this wonderful company. I did get the job after I lost it.
Oh, I actually did not even know that. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's still incredible that you got to work on all of these shows because you're in like shows such as, oh my God, not so I am totally not looking at your Wikipedia right now or IMDb, but yeah, because you said you worked on Fraggle Rock, Beetleborgs, and then the one that actually got you the Best Actress Award from Behind the Voice Actors, Mother Talzin, on Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that was another one where I worked with what's his name? Not Casey. Clancy Brown played my son.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in he was just in the Dexter remake, not remake, the new Dexter, I don't know what it was called. The one that was just the most recent Dexter. And he's just such a fabulous actor. And I got to work with him, and he's just a charming man too. Sometimes the most talented are the most kind and generous, which I found. Because I worked with Mel Brooks too on a job that I snuck into, actually. I snuck into the auditions. I said, I do a French accent. And he was doing a dubbing of this movie, Le Visitor. And they needed the secretary had a French accent, but he wanted to do it with English dubbing with accents. So they let me audition, and he cast me. So I got to work with him. Again, another giant in the business. So I feel like I've worked with a couple of giants, which is an honor to have had that experience with some people that are gone. Ed Asner, worked with him on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's not good people.
Yeah, he was wonderful. So yeah, aside from all of your the work that you've been doing, because you've been in anime, video games, animation, and if I list off your filmography, I think we'd be here for like another 30 minutes, and including and even in the documentary Adventures in Voice Acting, which had a lot of industry veterans that were doing anime at the time. I mean, I feel like the documentary I will say that this was during the time where like I think this is like the 2000s, so pretty much most of what it was said on there, I know it probably might be a little outdated, but it's still a very, very interesting documentary to look into, especially if you want to get into like say ADR dubbing anime dubbing, and yeah, it had a lot of very popular industry veterans in there too. So I thought it was a really nice find. So going back to Rita, I think it pretty much was like, I guess it came to the place where it's like, hey, I guess what booked you the part was like, I guess it's sort of somewhat based on real life experience, and you get to use that anger into Rita. So
That's right.
there you go.
That's right.
I guess it just makes it all the more authentic.
It's true.
So,
And who knew it would last that long? And they had to use a special mic for me. I would break the microphone sometimes, and they
oh boy.
couldn't use a normal mic with that voice. They had to get a different, not so
Yeah.
sensitive mic.
So I wanted to ask, did you like expect like Rita or like no, just the entire Power Rangers franchise to really take off the way it did? Because
Hey, no,
it was huge in the 90s and it's still
it
really big now.
was insane. I remember watching the pilot episode in New York. I was visiting my parents, and my son was 5 or 4 years old, and my niece was about 4. And we're watching it. I said, "This is some show I did," and they're all looking at it like, "Ugh." Well, it's nice you had some work that last couple of weeks ago. I don't think this is going anywhere. That was my family's and my assessment that it's a strange little show. I didn't quite think it would make it. I was
And
wrong.
man, because yeah, it really took off. Let me tell you, there's so many people who are still talking about the show. They mimic, and of course they do like, I know they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and people are still cosplay. There's all of these amazing
Oh,
cosplays of like the Power Rangers, Rita, and some
how many
pretty good.
readers have I met? Yeah.
Yeah, so like how many Rangers did you actually meet? Like at
Oh,
least the
the
cast
Ranger.
members. Yeah.
Well, I know the original cast very well because we go to conventions together, like Karen and well, Amy Jo, not so much. She moved on from there very well, and did so wonderfully. Her career took off onto on camera. Felicity, she was on that show. So she doesn't go to the conventions that often. And Jason David Frank, I see Austin St. John, I see Walter, I see David, all the original, the blue, black, red, green, Zordon, David, yellow, uh, the 2 yellow Rangers, Nakia and Karen and Tui, God bless her. She passed away tragically. The original Yellow Ranger was in a car accident in her
Oh
20s.
yeah.
That was a tragedy.
Oh,
And
I
of
read
course,
about that. Yeah,
my
and of course.
friends, yeah.
Oh yeah, and your friends. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, Robert's just
Of
recently
course,
passed.
Robert. Yeah.
And I would see him at the conventions, and my big buddy is Harrigan, who played Goldar, and another character. He would be someone you'd love to interview, I think. Uh, Speaking of so many things he's done, we see each other. We're friends. We talk all the time. Um, so it's like a family, you see them, and even though I wasn't with them on camera, we'd see each other when they had to do some ADR in the booth, and they knew me. I mean, and Carla, who played Rita's, when they switched to an American version of Rita. I mean, Carla's Filipino, but she's American Filipino, so she speaks, and so we split the role after Machiko Soga. Well, she passed away also in Japan, but she also they ran out of footage on her. So that was originally Machiko Soga did the Japanese acting of Rita, and I did her voice for the States, or the English speaking countries. And then they ran out of that footage and they used Lord Zed, and people said, "We miss Rita. He's a little too edgy." So they brought her back. And I wrote them, I said, "Out of work, Empress seeks employment." And they did. They hired Carla, and they used my voice and did a storyline where she took a youth potion and became Carla because she looked like a younger Machiko. So it was kind of like a perfect storyline. And then I got to keep working.
That's a good way to hustle. So yeah, there's also other actors like there's Johnny Young Bosch, Patricia
Yes.
Julie, and a bunch of others that I'm gonna be leaving out. But just
Yeah.
want to ask you real quick, how is it like getting to actually know Robert and getting to work with him, like at least professionally and personally over the years before his passing?
He was a sweet, sweet man and so supportive. He's the one who got me into doing conventions. He would call and say, Barbara, got a convention. You should go. You gotta go.
Yeah, you gotta go to this convention. Yeah, you gotta go here.
Yeah,
That was my
they'll
terrible
love you.
Robert.
They'll love you. So he was, and I would say, oh, they don't even know who I am. Are you kidding? And he said, no, it's different now. Go, check it out. So he started me doing that. And I mean, we were family. Robert would come to my parties here. We do holiday thing. We would just see each other not all the time socializing. He also had a lot of dark side stuff, in with drug stuff and alcohol that he overcame, that kind of didn't help him as he grew older. But I was with him a lot during his last hospitalizations, and it breaks my heart that he's not around anymore. But in a way, I'm glad that he's not suffering anymore either. I used to call him the ever ready battery. He would fall asleep on the panels, and I would yell at him. I say, "Wake up!" Oh, well, yes, my queen.
Yes.
I mean, we were like brother and sister. Same with Kerrigan and I. We were like, we yell at each other like sister and brother.
But at least you guys don't actually like, I don't know, kill each other or anything like that.
No, it's sibling. It's very sibling.
Sibling love. It's
It
sibling
is.
love.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
used to, Wendy Lee, another one. My girlfriend Wendy. We're like, I'm older. I'm her big sister, and she's so talented and so beautiful and inside and out beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, let's also talk about the Fully Cooley as
Ah,
Naota. So yeah, what's it kind of like an audition process, how you got the part and the impact that it also left on the anime community? Because the show has a huge cult following, as it's
oh,
been gathered over the years. So yeah, let's talk about Fully Cooley and your work as Naota.
thank you. Well, I'll tell you, I think I just got the part from Mark Handler, who was the director at the time, because we knew each other so much. We were like a traveling group of people who did, and I was known as the boy voice lady for anime. So I think that was how I got the job. But the difference with Fooly Cooley is that I had to match the tonality of the style. We didn't do that in the beginning. It became something that was apparent that people who loved anime were annoyed about the American versions because they weren't following the style of the original. They were just doing their own thing. And we got the message finally. So Fooly Cooley was the first one where I had to stop, listen to the Japanese version, not just to get the rhythm of the line layout, not just to see that how long it was, but to listen to the performance and try and match the performance with an American speaking voice with the same flavor. And it wasn't always easy because sometimes I had a different take on how I would say my line. And I'd have to just bend that, try to satisfy my creative juices and be honoring the quality of the original. So it was a more technical kind of anime than any I've ever done before. And obviously it paid off. People loved it.
Yeah. And the conventions, like I mentioned before, they're like a huge part of the pop culture area sphere. Like you see Power Rangers everywhere. You see cosplayers for shows like Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just been really popular. And I know that with the pandemic, they've taken quite a hit, but I know there's some of them are starting back up, some have unfortunately closed. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like how would you describe like the experience of getting to appear at conventions as a guest and just the overall atmosphere of getting to meet and greet with your fans?
It's it's first of all, I hate flying, so there's that. I have to get myself ready to ask for a window seat. So I
You're not alone. Same.
just have
I've
to.
only flown once to
Oh,
Texas, just
I have to
once,
ask
one
for a
time.
window seat. For some reason, it calms me down to have a window seat.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
anyway, so once I'm on the ground, it's a party because you're meeting your friends. Usually, you're having a reunion. You're getting to meet fans that it's amazing. Some of the stories. It's so touching. I'll have. I'll be told. Was told once about my this kid said my brother is severely autistic, and when Power Rangers was on the air, it calmed him down. Just the music and just this hey whoa you know other people were inspired to become Marines or Army or went because they wanted to be a hero of some kind. I mean, maybe that's a plus and minuses on that one, but I'm saying that it inspired positivity where, in the beginning, people said, no, we don't want, like when my son was little in preschool, the teachers wouldn't take uh, I offered for all silent auctions, free toys so they could make money for the school. And the head teacher said, no, it's too violent to show. And I said, no, 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 no. Only if the parents aren't teaching the kids the right way to act as a Power Ranger. When my son has these parties, he's not kicking another kid. He's kicking the air. He's killing a putty. Anyway, I digress. So what was I saying? Yeah. So the conventions, you get to meet these people with their own stories. And one guy I met said, you made me cry when I was 5. And I said, oh my God, I think I remember you. I did the Rita voice to this little boy at some kind of a fundraiser. And I didn't realize that the voice was that scary yet. I was just new to it and it didn't go out in the public that much. And I made this little boy cry saying, hi, I'm Rita. And he started to cry. And he said, that's me. You made me cry 20 years ago. And so I apologized. I said, I remember you. And then I said, I'm sorry. And he cried, fake cried. Then he cried again. He like pretended he was still crying. And we hugged. And it was like a wonderful, full circle of something. Also, these people that have kids, the kids of the kids, like this is my son. I grew up watching Power Rangers, and now my son watches reruns on Netflix, and he knows who you are. And that was beyond, it was so extreme. It was so wonderful.
Yeah. It's just really is awesome when you see like a character like Rita make that much of a have that this emotional response out of the kids when they were children, especially like I would hear stories that I related to this character because I have this disability or like I was attached to the show because it helped me out of a depression or
Yes.
this character I found an emotional attachment. Like I get like some sort of emotional response from this character that you've played because yeah, they made me laugh. They made me cry. I mean, a lot say that they actually tear up watching certain episodes of a show, or like it helped
Yes.
them to get through rough times. Some are positive, but I don't think I've heard anybody were like, hey, this character that I've done actually made them actually like legit scared. I mean, I might have, but like actually to get a response like that, that's sort of new for me. Where it's
Yeah, to make a kid
like, yeah,
cry, that's a challenge. It's not what you
yes,
want to do.
this is what I'm here for. This is my,
No, that wasn't my intention. I was being playful, but the poor little boy. I don't do it anymore when there's little kids around. I'll
oh,
show
okay.
the little Rita, and I'll go, I'm Rita. Hello, hello. I'm bad Rita. I don't do the volume. The volume is a little too big.
Um, Hi, I'm Rita. I just got out of bed. I'm sorry.
But I
So,
will do it. People will ask me to do it on their telephones. You know, they'll say, do a wake up call as Rita. You know, they'll say, get up. You know, and I will. I'll
oh,
do
that'll
that.
wake them
You
up.
know.
Especially if they got to go to work and it's like, wake up. Okay, I'm up. I'm up. I'm good. I'm good.
I mean, I can't
Yeah,
imagine them wanting that every day to
that's your
wake up
alarm
that
clock.
way.
Oh no. Oh my
A lot
gosh.
of mothers loved Rita because they were mothers that were frustrated, and Rita was screaming all the time, and it
Oh,
helped mothers
mm,
vent. I mean, I made a joke that it helped me get through menopause, but I don't know
oh
if you can
God.
appreciate that joke,
No,
but a lot of
I
women
would not
appreciate
relate.
that.
Yeah, I wouldn't relate. My mother also goes through menopause, so yeah, I feel like that's a female thing, but I'm not
Yeah,
really
I
that.
think you may be right there.
Yeah, that's not an
If that's
experience that.
politically correct to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's an area that I'm really well versed in, and I'm not going to go too deep into
I
the.
think we're done with it.
Yeah,
I think we just I mentioned it, and now we can move on.
exactly. So yeah, word, but. So, I mean, at least we're having a nice, good conversations out of a lot of stuff, at least. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, and especially since you have these characters that I mean, Cameo has also become a very big thing for actors of just engaging and just make requests with their fans. They have like these
Yeah.
greetings. They could do like birthday calls. I mean, it's people have done it before at conventions, but with Cameo, it's a platform where
Yeah,
people,
I'm on that. I'm
yeah,
on that.
yeah. So Cameo, and there's also other platforms where people
There's
can
I
greet.
just signed up for Color World Live. Is another one. And
Okay,
Cameo. Cameo I'm on. I went to Color World Live just recently, and we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the whole point is to make everyone who wants something get what they want, you know.
of course.
GalaxyCon, I just did that.
Yeah. I keep wanting to sign up for the one-on-one calls, but usually because it's one of two factors. I just don't have the time, I don't have money, or I just, or it's kind of both, really.
Yeah,
But I might do one of those in the future, but I like to save my money on
I
other
don't blame you.
investments. So yeah, because I'm already a working voice actor, so I just want to make sure that I don't just spend it on like a 3 to 4 minute one-on-one. I mean, it's not that they're bad, but I can't really, because I like to spend money where it's gonna matter, or it's gonna be like helping family or career stuff. But yeah, that's just really how I am. Or just
I hear you.
giving to good causes.
Yeah,
We could do
yeah,
more of that in these times.
yes, yes. There's
Just
so
a
much to give
suggestion.
to. So many, so many things
Yeah,
out there that need um, contribution.
yeah. There's also
Uh,
this. Mhm.
Oh, I have a convention that I'm planning to go to, although it's in
Okay.
Tennessee in April, second and
Tennessee, I've
third.
always wanted to go there.
East Tennessee and Johnsonville. But my worry is, you know, the weather. Right now, they say anyone who's living in Mississippi and Tennessee stay indoors, you know, because of but that's now. Now is February, so
Oh,
hopefully
because
in
of
April.
his, oh, because of the storms going on in the south?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
if I
yeah.
went, I mean, with COVID and everything, you never know. You can say yes. I've canceled or I've turned down like 5 conventions since COVID started. It's a lot. Some of them were canceled. Some of them I didn't feel safe enough to go. Now I'm going to take a chance on this one, hopefully, and hope that I get there safely and come home safely. But I would love to see my fans again. I miss the one-on-one, the contact at a convention.
Yeah. And you've also done other stuff like Disgaea as
Oh gosh,
LaPaul and Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Cloudbread, and which you were nominated for Best Children's Programming in 2011 for an Annie
that was
Award.
such a good show. It's a
Believe me,
shame.
describe my time.
Again, when they don't make it to where they could, like Fraggle Rock, that's disappointing because that was a beautiful show,
Yeah.
originally from Korea. And I love those characters. Wooly was just a shy sheep, and then Ruiz was a little fox who used to say unbelievable. And then I was also teacher Ellie, who was the teacher for the kids. So I got to use all a bunch of characters for that one.
Nice.
And Gaia is just Rita. I mean, Laharl is Rita on speed. He's sorry. He's just Rita's ha ha ha, and Laharl is ha 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 ha. He's just in a higher rate. He's a brat. Rita's a brat, but one's a boy and one's a woman. I mean, that's how I think of it when I'm doing it. I mean, Laharl is just whiny and great character. I love doing him.
Different characters, similar voice. You can make different personalities still. So, and you were.
You can make different personalities. You just, well,
It's all in the acting.
It's all in the acting. Some are shy, some are brazen, some are both, some are just obnoxious.
Yeah, I just looked that you were also awarded with an Earphones Award for narrating Blair Clements in the Time Warner book On a Night Like This.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, so when it comes to this work, what do you find is the most fulfilling? Like, what are some type of work that you love doing the most, least favorite? Because there's anime, animation, commercials, promo, narration, audiobooks, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, what is your personal favorite to work on?
Tough question. It's a good question. It's a tough one. I would say I love doing something that is authentically well written and says something that is inspiring. And sometimes with an accent, it's fun for me to work on making sure it sounds like with Mother Talzin, to make it really feel like she's not a character, but she's a real person. Granny Chio in Naruto, her death scenes were fun. Not fun. I mean, they were it's real acting. I get a chance, and then fighting with Johnny Young Bosch, who played my grandson. Those scenes are real scenes of two people who are related, a grandmother who loves and hates who he's become, and fighting him for the world. That's intense. I love that. I love when it's intense and it's meaningful and it can inspire and it can touch your heart. And then comedy too. I mean, Rita was fun because she was like Lucille Ball, she was like a wacky. He became like whiny and wacky and always lost, and people laughed. I love to make people laugh. So I have such a headache, that kind of thing.
I can definitely see the comparison. Oh my God.
Yeah, she's just like, Wiggy, Zeddy.
I can't do Lucille Ball.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, every time yeah.
over the
I
top
mean,
music.
every time I do it, it kind of sounds like what's that one character from Monsters Inc? Mike Wazowski, Ross from Monsters Inc. Always watching, always.
That's
So
good.
yeah,
That's good. Yeah, well,
I
there's a
try.
lot of similarities. I mean, Christopher Walken is a great voice. I can't seem to
Wow,
like nail that one. As
Christopher
y-
Walken.
yeah.
Whoa, what's the matter with you?
Oh, you got it. You got it. Yeah, you got it. That thing where he goes like that.
Christopher Walken is really easy once you
Walken.
get into the swing of it. Hey, what are
Yeah.
you doing with that banana pudding? Now I'm starting to sound like John Travolta for some reason. I don't
That's
know
the
why.
thing. They fall into each other. My
I
Swedish
mean, I could use
turned
it to create a character.
Irish.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, bad impressions can make good characters. I mean, yeah,
Like
just
I was doing
stealing.
something the other day and I said, who am I doing? And they said, you're doing Bernie Sanders. I said, oh, I
Oh my
didn't
God.
realize I was doing Bernie. I didn't
The
know.
presidential impressions. Yeah. And I actually didn't find this out until like years later that you were also Goku in the Harmony Gold dub of Dragon Ball. That's really
I
awesome.
know. It was called uh, Zero at the time. That was before we matched anything. We didn't look at anything. Yeah, he was also very like obnoxious kid. Yeah, I have a 8x10 of that one too, just in case somebody want. And then Sailor Moon. What's her name?
Oh, Sailor Moon. I
Who the
think
hell am I?
it's
Z. What the hell? Who am I in
were
Sailor
you
Moon?
Zirconia?
Zirconia, yes, Zirconia. Yeah, another witchy, not as loud as Rita, but and
Yeah.
I'm doing, and then I did that Bug Snacks, which was really fun.
Yeah, I've
As
seen some gameplay. It looks so fun. Really cute.
Clumby Clumbernut.
Man, a lot of great voice talent is in that game too. It has an
Yeah.
all-star cast. So, yeah, I guess since we have about 10 minutes left, yeah, so you're living in California now with your husband. So, kind of wanted to ask you, how did you guys, tie the knot?
Oh, well, I was into spiritual development, being from the 80s, where we used to get psychic readings and stuff. And always wanted to get married and have child or children, actually. But I went to this woman who was a psychic who said, you would meet your husband in a year and a half. I said, wow. I said, is he in the business? Because I was also looking for somebody who could relate to me. She said, well, no, but he's not lacking in levity. And a year and a half later, I went to her psychic development class. And he was there and he was dating her. And she tried to throw me out of class. It's just a weird thing that happened. But he and I talked, and he had broken up with her and called me. And we talked for about an hour and a half. And there was just something about him that fit the right note, and me for him. And then when we had our first date, that was it. We just knew. It was one of those things. We just knew. And this was like 1983. And he was never around actors, but coincidentally, he was living with two actors because he was going to go to Tibet, search the world, spiritual. Everything was like trying to find yourself. My father used to say, why is everybody missing? Why are you looking for yourself, finding yourself? Anyway, so he and I hooked up back then and never have been apart. And she became my friend after she tried to psychically she knew something was happening, but she ended up being a friend of ours, the girl that he was dating. And then we had Andrew, and but I was living in LA before I met him for about 5 years. I didn't meet him right away, and I was planning to stay here. I didn't want to go back to New York. I started to work here, with the Fruit Loops commercial, and then the anime, and then I did a little nightclub stuff here for a little while, but I just never enjoyed it. So we met and fell in love, and we're still together, and it's since 1984. So how long is that? We're going on our 38th year in May. We've been through a lot together. We lost a baby before Andrew. That was a tragedy we went through. We went through a bankruptcy together. A lot of things that would tear other people apart. But we have great communication. We fight like crazy. We're different. I'm East Coast, he's West Coast. He's from California. And so I'm always saying, spit it out. Come on, I get to the point, get to the point. Because he speaks slower, he's calmer. And I'm from Brooklyn. So I always want it, hurry up. So
Jeez. So I guess that those email exchanges that we had before the blonde Brooklyn.
oh yes, yeah. I said so. Yeah, right. Whatever I asked you, it's like, sorry, I'm
Mr.
Brooklyn blonde.
Mucus or something. Yeah, there's something like that. But yeah. So at least I will say that is an email that was unique. So I will give you that for having a very a colorful with personality type of email. I don't really get those often when I schedule guests and coordinate the time management, because it's usually like da, 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 da. But then with you it's
Yeah.
like okay, like, am I gonna get paid for this, or so it's like, oh, I have a feeling I'm gonna like her. So yeah. And I know that you're still living in LA, but I think it says that you're living in Santa Monica or somewhere else. I don't
Santa
know.
Monica or something. Yep, I live in Santa Monica.
Yeah, how's it like over there? I mean, I've
Well,
been there a lot, so
it's
I just want to
windy.
ask.
It's very windy today.
I mean, it's windy
I,
over here, so
and we went to Joshua Tree because my son is opening up an Airbnb there. And it's being renovated, and driving home was scary last night. My husband's, the steering wheel was like, his hands got cramped from
Santa
keeping.
Monica is pretty windy. It can,
It's
yeah.
it's very windy today, and we had an umbrella outside fly off its base because the wind was so strong, and that could be dangerous. And we have one of those things like a ring where you can see the person walking up, but it's going on all the time now because the wind is making it go off. So it keeps sounding like there's people coming to the door every 2 seconds. It's crazy, but that's life. I mean, wind. Yeah, we got wind. Other people have tornadoes. We have earthquakes too. We don't like earthquakes.
Yeah, it's like whenever people are from like different, if they're from the East Coast or the South, and then they move to LA, people are like live tweeting on Twitter. Just like, and it's like, dude, we have those like nearly all the time. It's nothing new.
Yeah.
I mean, God forbid if we ever have tsunamis. Oof, that'd be no.
Yeah, well, they said there was a possible one coming, but I mean, how high would it go?
I
It's not
mean,
that it floods in, and then that's not.
yeah. But as far as the
No.
winds go, I think if you're like in Santa Ana or like Ventura, San Bernardino, Rivers, yeah, at least in the Santa Monica, Malibu areas, I heard that it gets pretty gusty over there. So, ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the stage names, because you've went by other names, do you find it to be kind of confusing when, if you're using like a pseudonym for your acting credentials, like with your other work?
That's a necessity sometimes because those jobs are special projects and you're not supposed to be doing them a lot of the time because they're not necessarily union. And I was
Gotcha.
5'4", so I was able to do that. But things kind of changed when this SAG merger happened with AFTRA, which I was one of the. Well, I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't want the merger. And now I think we're suffering because of that. But I think I was right, unfortunately, like I was about the Iraq war. I didn't want that to happen either. Anyway, being right doesn't always make things better because right now our health insurance is has been myrtleized because of the unions merging.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I used the pseudonyms for when I was doing work just because I needed to keep working, but they were not really jobs that the union was part of. But the fans, they know who you are anyway.
Yeah. I know there
You
was
would,
the big, yeah, I was gonna say there was the big strike that happened a few years ago with SAG-AFTRA and yeah,
yeah,
with the video game department and whatnot. I'm not sure if you were involved with it,
I was
but
very involved with that. I
would
was
you like to
at
speak on it? Yeah.
every meeting. Listen, it's just like greed happens. It's not a, people get used to thinking of an actor as less than if they're a producer. It happens. It's just a mindset. And if you don't challenge the mindset, you can start buying into that things shouldn't be better for us. And and 9 times out of 10, it happened with Power Rangers and happened with the video game strike. When we come together as a consolidated group, magic happens and people get embarrassed into improving things for you. But you have to be the one to say, this is not okay. You're making buckets of money. Share some of that wealth. Give us a break here. We're ripping our throat apart on some things and we don't get anything for it. There's no compensation. And there hasn't been a raise in years. So we want some improvements. They're not like outrageous improvements. They're just human, sensible improvements. Not, just go the extra mile. Give us some, like anything that, like a higher wage on many other things in the world, that it's time, to treat the postal workers better, to treat the healthcare system, to treat people more decently. So it's the same old,
Yeah.
And now we
So,
have the other fight on our hands with our health insurance. So,
oh yeah, that's also very important, especially now. So yeah. I'm
yeah.
just gonna say this, get vaccinated, and please stay safe and wear a mask for crying out loud, please. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep on saying this until we eventually, hopefully, prayerfully, someday we'll get out of this, if there's a way out. But I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed for the foreseeable future. Which, speaking of which, yeah, talk to us about like what you've been up to these days, and yeah, do you have like any favorite hobbies, like pastimes, downtimes, or just what you do outside of work?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I right now I'm helping my son renovate an Airbnb in Joshua Tree, which is a lot of work. I mean, we're it's a house that we're trying to make into a house that people want to go to for a guest, a vacation spot. And it's fun. It's fun because my husband knows a lot about contracting, skills, carpentry skills. It's also exhausting. I'm mostly watching. I'm,
I was just gonna ask about that. Any shows that you love that you would love to recommend to the audience that you're currently watching right now, or you're catching up with, but or binging, whatever. Any
oh,
recommendations? What you watching now?
what am I
Spill
watching?
it.
It's
Yeah,
embarrassing.
spill
It's
the
embarrassing. I got
beans.
into the Korean romantic dramas, the K dramas, and I fell in love with Hyun Bin and Park Seo Joon. I have a girl crush on these two Korean actors. That's a little weirder than most things to watch. Well, I loved watching Dexter. What else did I watch? Oh, I watched Queer Eye. I don't know if you know that show. Queer Eye for the straight guy.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've watched it.
Oh, I just love the makeovers they do for people. And again, they're just so heart centered. What else do I watch? I watch a lot of detective stuff, detective mystery stories, BBC stuff, or stuff where you have to look at the subtitles. I don't watch
Yeah.
dubbing that often.
I was gonna ask, do you watch the shows that you're actually in?
I'll watch one episode just to see if I can not cringe.
Whoa, that's the yeah.
When you
Looking
watch your
back
own
and
work,
yeah,
when you watch your own work, it's hard sometimes.
I've seen interviews with Bob Bergen where he talks about he hardly watches his own work because
Yeah.
he it's for some reason you just get we're our own worst critics and you
Oh
get really
yeah. 'Cause
self-critical.
we
So
know what we
yeah,
could do better, you know?
yeah. So it's like it's pretty much it also comes to like oh man I don't know if you feel this way but a lot of actors struggle with like imposter syndrome and self-doubt and all of these other and other emotions that people go through. So yeah, what would be the best advice to deal with those and turn it into a positive manner, turn it into a healthy positive thinking mechanism, I
If you
guess.
can't change what is already out there, just move on, because what to you may seem awful is still somebody else's lesson, and that you've contributed to somebody else. You got to surrender after it's done. If you can't, if you can't do anything about it, there's no going back. You can't fix it. I mean, a live show's different. You can do it the next night. It's different. But if it's on film or on, whatever it's on, tape or whatever it's on these days, it's a done deal. And just, bless it and move forward. Uh, you're not, it's not your job anymore. You
Yeah,
know, if what you can't fix, move on and use it in
yeah,
the next thing. Say, all right, I thought I was a little bit too, I could have done more subtle, or I could have been a little bit more out there for, like auditions. I spend hours going over auditions. It's like a day sometimes for me to, I get a little bit, if I'm in the old days when I was in my agent's office, they'd say, that's great. Okay, thank you. But if I'm doing it myself, I hear everything, and I just, the nuance, I just go, nope, nope, it's not exactly what I want to hear. So I exhaust myself sometimes, and usually what I had the first time sounds better than the last one.
so they usually have emphasis on like you see auditions where it's like okay so you just don't because when you're analyzing the script or like when you're analyzing like a piece of copy like do they don't give I mean they do give specific instructions like they have like okay so these are the specs like this is the character these are their personality traits should I go big on this on my first take should I go small so it's kind of it's like a Rubik's cube sort of thing.
Yes, it is.
I think Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt talked about it in their voiceover voice actor book, which, by the way, you should definitely get self-plug promoting that out there. So yeah, so it's there's a lot that goes on into the world of auditioning that we just cannot don't really have the time to sit down and talk about it at length. But yeah, any fun facts about yourself? And I like to ask this a lot, but is there anything you like to share about like any fun trivia or fun like little interesting facts about yourself the audience doesn't know about you?
I don't know. I'm not a vegetarian. I eat a lot of animal. That's not a fun fact. I don't know. Wendy and I argue because she's a vegan and I'm a carnivore. No, that's not a fun fact. No, I don't. I'm pretty boring. Um,
I think a lot of people kind of feel this way.
yeah, I don't know. There's no. I like to laugh. I just
Same. That's what we've been doing throughout this entire like this
I know.
podcast,
I just
which is good. It's good. It's a good thing.
I mean, I wake up. It's not a fun fact. I wake up pretty like sediment has settled. So I usually have to shake myself out of this kind of sadness that I wake up with. Now, maybe it's diet, maybe it's because I eat meat. I don't know, but there's a lot of, I have to get myself together and meditate. I do that. I listen to positive things and or funny things to get myself into a headspace. It's work for me because I feel like I'm kind of finely tuned to the planet, like we all are. And I can be sad, but especially being this age now, there's a lot of people that are passing on, that I love, that are leaving the planet. And it's a different reality. I'm not in my 30s or 40s or 50s anymore, 60s. And so I have to kind of respect the process of life, and again surrender to the realities of the world. I have friends that I have. Sometimes we've had students live with us. Sometimes we have Airbnb guests at our house too, because I love to meet people. And the store, and what you find out is everybody's pretty similar in so many ways. So I'm a people lover and a baby lover. I have 2 cats that drive me nuts. They are indoors now because I can't let them out. There's been coyotes in the neighborhood, and they are driving me insane because they're angry that they're not outdoor cats anymore. Is that a fun fact? I don't know. My cats, one of them vomits too much.
I guess that counts.
I am not very exciting. I don't know. I like to cook. I like to, well, I because of COVID, can't see anybody that often and have parties, but I do have 2 friends staying here right now, and it's like a party. We play Pass the Pig, which is a silly game where you throw these pigs, which are like dice. It's just the silliest game. But if you had a couple of glasses of wine, it's a very fun game. Pass the Pig.
I might as well take some notes for the next event that we're going to be having, if we have another family event. But yeah, Pass the Pig. I might just run that by with my parents. But yeah.
Okay, it's a dumb game. It takes no intelligence, but it gets to show you where, if you're getting ahead in points, when to stop. And if you can't stop, it shows, like you're and then you lose everything again. So it's a win or lose, it's all win, all lose. Anyway, it's a fun game.
I feel like that's probably the game when you start to play it, and then then the slow realization hits, like, we've been under quarantine for 2 years. This is how far we've come as a society now. Toss pigs around. I mean, I would wait to see pigs fly, but we're tossing pigs, tiny little pigs. I guess this is my life now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what you cooking? What do you like to cook?
Oh
Favorite food?
Well,
Yes.
I make I doctor a lot of things. Like I'll make ramen and I'll add my own stuff and not use their little powder for the soup. I'll use miso or some chicken broth or something, and add shrimp or add pork or other things. I make a mean steak with soy sauce and garlic and salt and pepper, marinate it and do that on the barbecue. That's always best. I've made these zucchini chips where you either truffle oil or regular oil, and slice them real thin, and then put them on a pan, and then put Parmesan and maybe some garlic powder or not, and salt and pepper, and then put it on 200 for 2 hours, and you get these really delicious little zucchini, like potato chips. Or what else do I make? I made shrimp and mushroom and spaghetti with butter and Parmesan. That's a nice little dish. Um, I like savory stuff, I guess. I'm talking all savory.
That's great. Yeah.
Uh,
To be honest, I can't really describe what food I really like because it depends on the type of day, what day it is, or
Exactly,
just yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's what it is. That's how it is for me. Sometimes I'm like, I should probably get a snack or something, or like,
Yeah,
I guess chips or spaghetti,
yeah.
sandwich, bread,
Grilled
whatever.
cheese. I'll
Oh,
make
yeah,
tuna with
mac and
apples in
cheese.
it
Yeah.
and
I mean, I'm just kind of
celery.
like, yeah, I just don't have a preference. I just really like to eat food. I like food. I need it in my mouth and so I can digest it and just, I don't know, sit well, rest in my stomach until it dissolves.
Well, you look like you're in good shape. Are you overweight or underweight since COVID?
To be honest, I kind of lost some weight because I was almost overweight and then I just kind of dropped like 20 pounds,
Oh,
probably
that's
goes to
great.
30 for like these last 2 years. And now I'm trying to gain like another 10 back because, yeah, I'm trying to get these gains going and I hear a motorcycle. But
Well,
yeah, just trying to get these packs.
oh
Like
yeah,
these
I
strong
gained 10
arms.
pounds, and on 4'11", 10 pounds is not good.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
it's
like
plenty on enough.
I think I'm like 5, 6, or 7. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's been a real pleasure getting to chat with you for
Same here. Same here.
a lot of time. We talked about a lot of stuff. So, is there anything that you like to discuss about? You want to talk, like, I don't know, coaching or acting, what it is that you're doing now that is not under the NDAs? Yeah, just share about what you've got coming up in the pipeline
Well, I'm
and
doing a
we can
lot of
expect to see in the
dubbing
future.
of I'm doing a lot of dubbing of Netflix movies that are out there. But nothing that I don't think I can talk about them. NDA stuff. I'm doing a
Yeah.
video game. I don't think I can talk about that either.
So I'm trying to see what is something that you can talk about that you're working on right now that is actually out and not still under wraps.
Is Ramen out? There's a video game called Ramen.
Oh, I thought we were still talking about ramen the food.
Yeah, no, that was the yeah. No, this was a video game. I'm going back to do it, and I've done some Blizzard work last year that should be coming out as Lady Vosh again. Was there a movie Belle? I just worked on Belle, which is out. I did one of the characters, Hitari, I think her name. Small role, but that's a good movie that's come out. Alien Christmas, but that was last year. Nothing I can really talk about without getting worried. Just some Blizzard games. There's two Nickelodeon. There's a Nickelodeon show called Middlemost Post, cartoon series. And I am Lady of the Tree on that. And DreamWorks, is that DreamWorks? I think I'm Kung Fu Panda. I'm the Queen of England. That's another series that's on TV. So there you got it.
But on Steam, so it is a video game. Okay, I just looked it up. Please, March 30, 2018. Okay, so you're not too far off.
No, oh no. And there's also I did Rita for a game that's coming out.
Oh, nice.
Masters of the Universe or something.
Cool, cool. Yeah, we'll
I
be
don't know.
looking out. Yeah, we'll be looking forward to that in the future. So yeah, and do you have any last piece of advice that you want to give to aspiring creatives, whether they be actors, artists, writers, or I guess content creators and stuff? Like
Yeah.
pretty much essentially anybody who would love to pursue and do what it is that you're doing. And eventually compete against. I mean, I'm sorry for, for that last part, but like, hey, I mean, that's kind of how it is in the industry. But yeah, do you have any piece of advice to aspiring artists out there? Where do you see, what are you looking forward to in the future? And just, I don't know, future, like, yeah, what do you see the industry going forward, and where do you see us as a society moving forward? Just if we're going to go into like the whole philosophical stuff. So, any piece of
Yeah,
advice that you have for people out there currently struggling, they want to do this and want to get their start, and yeah, and where does the future hold for us as a society, as
oh,
human
that's an
beings?
easy question to answer.
Okay,
All
yeah,
I
but
can
first
say,
advice and then philosophical. Yeah.
all I can say is it's about, like I said, you know, you wake up, you feel like you've got sediment that has fallen into your body and you have to shake it off. Just know that everybody is going through that same thing, and to be somebody who does the homework when failure comes, when a negative comes, when a rejection comes, it's your job to do your homework with it and give yourself a time limit. I'm not saying don't be real, hurt, be sad about it, but do not ruminate. Give yourself a time limit to tell your story of, oh, this was this rejection. Just, if you are in love with your negative story, you will keep the negativity in your system and in your aura. You're the one who has to shake it off and give yourself time. Just say, all right, I'll give myself maybe a week, maybe a half a week, maybe 2 hours. That hurt. That was a punch in the gut. I almost got this. I almost. That story is dead after a week. You can't tell that story anymore. You have to be the one to give yourself the rules on how long you can, be unhappy about something. And that's with everything. That's with your car tire being busted. That's with your boyfriend breaking up with you. That's with your every tragedy. You have to be balanced with how much story you leave on the table with it, because if that story will keep it alive. You keep that alive, you can't have a miracle happen. You're killing off the ability to have something new come in, because you're giving the room to the sad story, and you may be getting negative attention from it, but after a while you got to say, I'm boring. That story is boring now. I got to move on. And I don't mean to be empathic or sensitive, but I know that people who are successful move on, go to the next thing, go to the next and go to the next rejection, get yourself to the next rejection. Because how many rejections? Those rejections do add up to a win. Whatever the story is for you individually, know that most people have to have those not happening things happen in order to get better, to get to the thing that is going to be the win. And rejections aren't necessarily a loss. They're a learning. It's all about a learning process. And that's how you get a harder, tougher skin in a sensitive soul. Know that you're sensitive, but grow a tougher skin if you're going to be in this business, because this business is not for sissies. Like, either is aging, but a lot of things aren't for sissies. So grow a tougher skin, and don't tell your sad story too often. And look at what's beautiful out there. There's so much. I think we are made of love. And the things that make us evil is fear and unconsciousness and not being awake. So wake up and know that you come from love, that your spirit is love ultimately. And work on your fear. Love your fear, embrace your fear too. Become friends with your negativity so that it's something that you can talk to and comfort, so that it's not this alien thing. It's something that you can hold on to and baby to the point where it knows it's okay and it can move on. You need to heal your own loneliness. You have to heal your own fears and your own anger. You have to become friends with all of those parts of you so that you don't come from there, that they are just parts of you that you can love into a healing place. That's what Dr. Goodson says. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Beautifully said. I wouldn't have said it better myself. I literally got nothing. You just literally took everything straight out of my mouth. Like, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah. Would you like to promote or just give out? I'm not gonna ask you to like give out your phone number or like anything like that, but like, like if you like to promote your socials, website, anything, your voiceover stuff, that would be nice, where people can stalk and no, they could just check out your work and they would be like, oh, this Barbara Goodson person, she's actually really cool. So I'm gonna follow her and see where she is heading into the future. So yeah, your socials and
I'm
yeah.
so bad at this. This is where I'm embarrassed to say that I just don't have, I have a Facebook fan page, Barbara Goodson's fan page. I'm just kind of terrible at this stuff. That's why I do Cameo and I do that other one. But I have a BD Goodson 16 at Gmail that sometimes you can ask me a question on there and I can answer you. But I don't promote myself that much. I do sometimes on that fan page. So you can look at that fan page on Facebook. But I don't do Twitter and I don't do Instagram. I'm one of the oldies that I like my privacy a lot of the time. I'm a mixed bag. So that's all I can tell you about that.
Yeah. And do you have any last words that you would like to say to the audience out there before we wrap up this podcast
Yeah.
interview episode?
I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen and for tuning in and for supporting me in my dream through all my years and giving me the willingness to keep going when it seemed like I shouldn't. You've made my life so much better by being acknowledging. And I love you. I love the world. And I want everyone to stay safe and smart and awake and come from that light, because that's what we all need. So let's do it. Let's just be lights for each other.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure someone out there is probably going to want Rita to close us out for today.
Okay. Okay. So goodbye. Thanks for listening. I love you. I really do.
Thank you, Rita. All right. And with that, thank you very much for watching and listening to this insightful podcast episode. This will be up on my SoundCloud, Anchor, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere and anywhere. Thank you for sticking around to the very end of this. I know that this went on for a little bit longer than I anticipated, but hey, I mean, I just really loved chatting with people about just life in general, careers, show business, just anything, just everything that I could pretty much learn and just grow and absorb as I go along. So, yeah, for anybody out there listening, thank you for to those who are supporting me on my journey so far, and thank you for supporting Barbara with hers. And my socials is like literally Mystic IRJ, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Like I'll just post the links. I have a card page, so I'll just it's everything's all in one place. So yeah, so it could be easier, so you won't have to just look around and dig on Google and just say, oh, where's this Robert Jackson guy? So yeah, um I guess with that said, that's pretty much it. Thank you, everyone, for watching once again, and stay tuned next time for more Station Square podcast. And I am Robert Jackson, and I am officially signing out of here for today. So until then, and see you next time. Farewell. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay hydrated, please. And until then, good night, everybody. See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye,
So
Robert.
long. Adios, amigos. All right, let me stop the recording right now.